here. I'll wait a few minutes to see for some people to find the video and join us. If you're watching and you can hear me, would you let me know? Make sure everything's coming through okay on the viewer end. Okay, well, I'll just go ahead and start talking here. Hopefully everything's coming through. If you can't hear me, do please let me know. I'm going to go in here or get started right away. But welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining me here on our Archives Month Kickoff Facebook Live. My name is Sarah Casper, and I'm a government records archivist for the State Archives. I've done a few of these in the past, so you may be familiar with my face. If you would like to see a different face, we're also going to be live on Instagram very soon, if not right now. So you can check us out there. We do have a new Instagram page if you haven't seen it before. It's at SODAK Archives, so that's SODAK Archives. So if you want to check that out, talk to Haley, who's our reference archivist, instead of me, that's fine. I understand. But for those of you who want to stick around and listen to me, we'll be talking a little bit about some of the events that we have planned for Archives Month, which I think should be pretty fun, as well as giving some tips for planning your research visit, and part to the State Archives, but also just in general, doing archival research. They give you some tips and tricks for things that you can do. So, let's see here. So, today is October 1st. October is Archives Month. Archives Month is held every year to highlight the importance of historical records and to increase public awareness of the many archives, libraries, museums, historical societies, and other institutions that are the repositories that have all of our history, all of the records that document our past, and we're actively collecting records to document our present for the future. So it's basically a big national month-long celebration of archives. So if you go to our website, which I've linked, I think, in the description for this live video, you can check out our main Archives Month page, where we've got a link to a poster that you can print and display, as well as, one moment, let me make sure that my video and everything is coming through correctly. Oh yeah, it's going good. Let me see. Okay, so on our website, that's where I was. Thank you very much. So you can find a poster that you can print and put on display in your house or archives or library, or talk to wherever, and a public place where we can prominently display and advertise archives, as well as a link to a copy of the Governor's Proclamation about Archives Month, and a more detailed list of all of the Archives Month events that we have planned to celebrate. So I'll be going through those a little bit here right now, but if you want more information, or if I go too fast and you want to review it later on, definitely go to our website and you'll get all the information there. So the very first event, well, this is the first event really. You're already participating. Happy Archives Month. But our second event is next week. It's next Thursday at 4 p.m. We're going to do a YouTube live premiere of a video that Matthew, our manuscript archivist, has prepared for us. And he's gone through and highlighted some of the recently accessioned manuscript collections that we have dealt with in the past year. So it should be a really fun video. If you attend during the premiere, we'll have staff available to interact with you and answer your questions. But if you have any other, the video will, once it's live, the video will be there into the future, so you can watch it at any future date if you like. Now, a lot of just sort of as a tidbit, a lot of our Archives Month activities this month or a lot of the things that we're doing to celebrate will be on our social media channels. So if you're already following us on Facebook, thank you, we appreciate it. You can follow us on Instagram, we've got a YouTube channel, and we're also on Twitter. So definitely check out all of those avenues. You'll notice as I go through that there's a lot of things occurring on all of the different social media things that we have. So the YouTube premiere next Thursday. Then on Friday, or next Friday, it's Electronic Records Day. So we'll have some posts with tips for preserving and managing your digital files there, going out that day. Then October 13th is Ask an Archivist Day. It's a national thing sponsored by the Society of American Archivists. Once again, we are participating. We've done it for several years now, and it's always a lot of fun. Basically, it's a day on Twitter where archives from across the country take questions from the public about our collections, about what we do. Sometimes it's funny things like what's the oldest thing in your collection, or what's the weirdest research question you've ever gotten. We love to get those sorts of questions. It's all on Twitter, and if you follow the hashtag #AskAnArchivist, you'll be able to see the conversation between all of the different archives across the country. So we'll be there on Twitter, SD Archives. If you would like us to answer your question, be sure to tag us in it. Otherwise, we might not see it, because there are a lot of questions that get exchanged during the event. So our only in-person event this year is on October 16th from 1 to 3 p.m. Central Time. It's here in Pierre, and we're calling it Walking Through History. And it's basically, we've got 5 actors from the Pierre Players Community Theater who will be set up in front of some of the statues along the Trail of Governors here in Pierre. You'll be able to go up, interact with them, learn a little bit about each of the governors, and then you can come up to the Cultural Heritage Center and see examples from their records that we have here stored at the archives in these boxes in the storage unit here behind me. You'll get to see records from all of their collections. So if you complete the whole route, the first 25 people to complete it will receive a goodie bag of prizes from the Heritage Store here at the Cultural Heritage Center. So it should be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to it. We're also planning to have cookies here. So, if that helps entice you up to the Cultural Heritage Center, by all means, whatever works, we would be happy to have you here. So definitely check that out. And if you want more information on that, I'll be posting a map, maybe yet today, possibly on Monday, that will show exactly which statues our actors will be stationed at, and the suggested route for you. So it should be walkable. And then our final event is kind of my baby. It's History Trivia Night. So we're making a grand return with History Trivia Night. So in the past we've done in-person History Trivia Nights, and they've been very popular here in Pierre. And we've had a lot of people who don't live in Pierre who have talked to us about wanting to participate, not being able to. So this year we decided to try and take it virtual. So we're doing a virtual History Trivia Night. It's the same types of rounds, same types of questions. You still put together a team. It'll just all be online in a virtual format through Zoom. So we do have limited spaces in there just because there's only so many people we can handle. It's kind of a complicated project for us. So we do require you to register in advance, but it should be a lot of fun, and you can put together a team from people all across the state if you like, or you can all gather up in somebody's living room and be a team that way. It doesn't really matter on our end. So whatever works best for you guys. If you have any questions about that, I'd be happy to answer them, because yeah, like I said, Trivia Night's kind of my baby. I've been working on it, trying to get everything set up for it. It's a fun mix of like South Dakota history related questions and also general U.S. history questions. So if you are feeling a little unsure about your skill level in the questions, don't worry about it. I mean, we've got some of the questions are really hard, some of them are pretty easy, and there's a whole bunch in between. So, and we try to cover a lot of different topics as well. So it's a lot of fun. If unfortunately right now we can't, it's not set up in a way to allow just spectators. So I know that there have been some questions about that. So unfortunately there's not, but if you're interested at all, please just sign up. You can have up to 6 people on a team. So, but you don't have to have 6. You could have just a couple if you like. So, yeah, just whatever works for you. And also feel free to send us a message or an email if you have questions or are having issues with registration. So those are our Archives Month events. We're excited about them. It's a full month of activities, so we're definitely looking forward to it, and we hope you are as well. Now, let me see, I'm not seeing any comments here, so hopefully things are going well, and you all can hear me, and everything is well. But if you have any questions about Archives Month, I could take them and answer them now. But otherwise, I think I'll probably just move on to some of the research tips that I have put together. Okay, I'll just go ahead. If I see any come in, I'll try and answer them. So it's been a little while since I've given you guys an update on our research room. I think it was the last time we did like an actual preparing for your research visit type video. It was back in July 2020, and things are mostly the same and maybe a little bit different now. If you want the most up-to-date information, again, go to our website. We've got a planning for your research visit page. It's really helpful. It's got links to indexes that might assist you, all of the forms that you need. It walks you through all of the steps of how to make a research appointment, the information that you need, just basically anything that you need to plan a research visit. So it's very helpful, including all of our contact information. So yeah, if you've got any, so definitely check out that page. We have had a few upgrades in our research room recently, though. We have all new chairs, which is pretty fun. So if you didn't like the chairs at the microfilm readers before, now they're a little bit better, I think. They definitely slide around a little easier. We also have 2 brand new digital microfilm readers, which, you guys, this is a game changer. I can't emphasize how nice this is. It allows you to make more adjustments to like hard to read film. I know that there are a lot of our film is negative film, so it's like a black background with white text sometimes. And this, on the previous readers, you pretty much just had to like see it as it was on the screen. But the digital microfilm viewers let you flip that, so then it's a white background with black text. I think that's been really helpful for a lot of the researchers. Plus you can just fine-tune the adjustments a little bit, so some of the records that were filmed less well than others, you can really make that adjustment, and it's just so much easier to use. So plus you can take digital snapshots of different parts of the screen. Again, it's just can be really easy and helpful. So definitely an improvement to the research room. And then we've also replaced our outdated book scanner. So for those of you who have visited us in the research room before, we have a scanner that allows us to take copies and images out of bound materials without pressing them flat onto like the glass bed of a photocopier. And that's really important because that pressure breaks up the bindings, and we don't want to do that with our records. Our records are rare and difficult, if not impossible, to replace, so we have to be very careful about them. And so we have a camera, basically, where a book sits in a cradle, and there's a camera up above, and it takes a picture of the text on the page, and we can make a copy of it that way. Well, we had one for many years, and it worked. You know, it tried its hardest. And for the most part, you were able to get an okay copy off of it. But now we've got this brand new book scanner that's just more up to date. You can get a really good image off of it. We can use it for a lot of other types of materials as well that may be fragile or oversized. So that I think everybody, the staff is definitely enjoying it, and I think the researchers will as well, or at least the quality of the copies that you can get now. So as far as accessing our research room, we're still open by appointment only. We probably will be from now on. I think that's going to be a permanent change for us. We're really enjoying it. I mean, I think our researchers are as well, partly because it gives us a chance to just prepare for the researchers that are coming in. We can make sure that they have things that to look through that will be useful to them. We can have them pulled and waiting for them in the research room so that when the researchers come in, they don't have to spend the first, hour of the day waiting for us to look through databases and find materials and pull them and bring them out into the research room. They can just start right away and get through a lot more material. So the appointments have been great, and we're going to continue them. Right now there are 2 appointment blocks. So there's the morning block from 9 to noon, and then an afternoon block from 1 to 4:30. And then we're closed from over that noon hour, from noon to 1. Now we spend that time, it's a chance for us to clean, to sort of prepare for the afternoon appointments and just get everything back together again. So just know that if you are planning to spend the entire day at the archives, you will be asked to leave during that hour. So just plan accordingly. You probably need to eat lunch anyway. It's a good opportunity to do so. We can give you restaurant recommendations if you like, for places to go. We also, let's see, so as far as the appointments go, if you know that you'll be, like, say you know you want to come in the afternoon, but you're driving from Rapid City and you're not going to get here until about 2, when you make an appointment, just let us know. That's fine. You can show up at any point during that that block. But if you let us know in advance, then we won't give up on you and put your materials away. So try that. That would be good. If you want to make an appointment, all you need to do is call the reference desk or send us an email and we can get you set up. If you need to cancel or change your appointment, please contact us and let us know. Like I said, we do pull all of the materials in advance for people, and sometimes, if you've got a lot of materials, that can take 20 to 30 minutes to pull material. So if you're not going to come in, it's great if you let us know so that we don't spend that time pulling the materials when you're not going to be here. We're happy to do it if you are, but if you're not, then we can use that time to work on reference requests or help other researchers. So please do let us know about that. So if you're trying to figure out whether or not you should make an appointment to come to the State Archives, we do have some online indexes to our collections, as well as our library catalog and Archive Space, which is our online collection catalog. They're all available on our website. You can search through all of those materials, see if there's anything that piques your interest that you think might be helpful for your research. We definitely have videos where we've highlighted those resources in the past. So if you're interested or need more information, there are links to those on that Preparing for a Research Visit page. You can also see all of them on our YouTube channel. Or I believe a lot of them are linked here on Facebook as well, so you can check that out. Now, let's see, if you're having trouble using the indexes or just can't find what you're looking for, contact our reference desk. We would be happy to assist. Like, we can walk you through things, we can put together a list of records that we think might be helpful for your research. We're happy to help. Just definitely contact us and let us know. So also, if it turns out that we can't help you, that we just don't happen to have the records that you want here at the State Archives, know that there are lots of other institutions in our state as well as across the country that also collect historical records. I mean, there's the National Archives, which is federal records. It's fairly well known, but it does exist and it's there. Every state has a state archives. A lot of counties and cities do as well. Their universities almost always have an archives that collect university history, as well as sometimes they have very specific collecting focuses, topics that are of interest to their community. And they also usually collect kind of like regional or local history as well. There are local historical societies that often have things that you can't find anywhere else. And then kind of something that you might not even think of, but a lot of county offices also have records that can be useful, especially if you're doing genealogy work, like the county register of deeds or the clerk of courts might have records that are exactly what you need in your genealogy research. So those are definitely places to keep in mind as well. So no matter where you end up, I do have a few research tips for things that you can do to kind of prepare in advance to make the most of your visit to any archives across the country or wherever you go. So number one, make sure that you review the information that you already have and determine which questions you want to answer before you contact the archives. So it's just like narrowing the focus a little bit just helps make for a more productive research trip. Like, for example, a lot of times, very, very often, I hear this, a researcher will come in and they'll say, I want everything that you have on the Peter Peterson family. And I understand why they do it, because they don't want to limit, they don't know what all is possible to bring in. And they don't want to like cut, or they don't want to leave something out that they just don't even know exists. And I understand that, but it's actually very hard from an archivist perspective to take that and actually pull records because there are just so many records. I mean, we have so many records. This is just a very, very small corner of our storage area. We've got over 12,000 cubic feet of records back here, and there are a lot of Peter Petersons, even if you just limit it to South Dakota. So what's a better sort of focus, or a better way to focus your research, is to come in and say, okay, I have family oral history that says that Peter Peterson, my grandfather, immigrated and filed a homestead in South Dakota, and I need documentation to back that up. I need to figure out like whether that's true. I need to figure out when he immigrated, and I want to know where his homestead was located, because then we can we can narrow in and be like, okay, naturalization records, census records, that we've got a homestead index that you can check. We've got atlases, like there are specific records that we can find that have that information that you're interested in, and we're not pulling a bunch of stuff that you already know, or a bunch of records and information on topics that you already know and have documented. So having that specific research, a research question, or at least a focus, a goal in mind, is really helpful to think about in advance before you contact the archives. My second tip for you guys, archival records. So we have a few searchable name indexes and subject guides on our website, but for the most part, records in the archives aren't arranged by name or by subject. They're in collections. I mean, they're in collections which are records grouped together based on who created or donated the records to the archives. So, for example, we have a collection called the Pickler Papers. They're letters, photos, other sorts of files that were created by members of the Pickler family. And so, if you're looking for information on the things that they were involved in, that's a great collection. For government records, things are grouped together by sort of the record series, and then by the office of origin. So like it might be disaster files or something, which were created by the Office of Emergency Management, which is part of the Department of Public Safety. So if you're trying to find records in the archives, you have to sort of stop and think a little bit about who would have created, or who would have recorded, rather, the information that you're seeking, even if it was for a completely different purpose. So, and then try and really explore those particular collections and see if there's anything like in the folder lists or collection descriptions that jumps out at you for your research. So one of my favorite examples of this is we have land survey field notes here in the archives. So when land surveyors came through and divided up the land into townships and ranges and sections, and established all those corners with their markers, that all the land boundaries that we use today are based off of. When they came through, they took very detailed survey notes, and we have those here at the archives. Well, at the end of every township, they had a little paragraph that was sort of a general description of the terrain, of vegetation, just a general description of the land that they found in that township. Well, I have had a researcher who was using those descriptions to sort of establish really early vegetation patterns in South Dakota, like pre-white settlement. So obviously that's not what those records were created for, but they were able to use it in a different way just because the information was captured in those records. So you have to kind of think creatively and try and figure out where that information might be captured. Now, a lot of times, like especially if you're into genealogy, which I assume some of you are, if so, like, thumbs up in the chat, I suppose. Hi, genies. But if you're a genealogist, like, the places you want to focus on, especially if you're looking at government records, are the places where the state and individuals interact. So, like, if your relative might have had to file paperwork with a government agency to get a permit, or did they pay when they paid taxes, or if they needed to set up electricity. These types of things are those sort of key areas where you might be able to find records. So definitely, like, pay extra close attention to those. And also, if you're interested in like non-governmental records, just manuscript collections, we call them. One of the things that you'll want to look at, there might not be a collection specific to your family. Like, there might not be a Peterson family collection in the archives, but if there are collections from the same town, from the same neighborhood as your family, they might have valuable information about the community that your relatives were living in. If your relatives were involved in community organizations, there might be records related to those. So definitely sort of try and expand out and think about all of the places where information might have been captured. And sometimes a great place to get leads on that is the local newspapers, because they'll have lots of social blurbs that talk about the different meetings of different clubs and groups and organizations and who all attended and the types of things that they did. So that's a great way to get leads on different places that you might look to try and track down some more of your family members. And then, so the third thing that I have here is, I don't know if it's a tip exactly, but it's something to keep in mind. So whenever you're doing archival research, or any research really, you'll almost never find that magical file that just answers all of your questions. It just doesn't exist very often. Sometimes it does, and it's always very exciting if it does, but most of the time it doesn't. And so what you'll be doing is looking at a lot of different sources and collecting little bits and pieces of evidence from all of them, and then trying to put them together and interpret them in a way that gives you a mostly clear picture. And sometimes you have to infer things based on what was typical for the time period, or sort of things that are hinted at but maybe not stated directly in the records. So there's a lot of, it's definitely an investigation. I think it's a good way to approach archival research, as opposed to just thinking like, oh, I'm just going to go look it up. Go look it up in the book, and then I'll have all the information. It takes a little bit more work than that sometimes, and that's part of what makes it kind of rewarding and exciting, I think, for people that get really into family history research or just general historical research, is sort of being able to put together that puzzle and see the connections, even if they aren't like explicit in the records. But it's definitely sort of a different thing, I think, than a lot of people when they first start are expecting. So, and then tip number 4, my final big tip, is document everything that you look at. So you definitely want to document the records that you like photocopy, or things where you collect actual information that helps your research. You want to be able to know, you want to be able to tell other people where you got that information from. So cite your source, so to speak. So you definitely want to document those, but you also want to document the places that you checked and were unsuccessful looking through, because that way you don't accidentally come back around and end up re-looking at something because you don't remember that you've looked at it before. At least if you do want to go back, there are legitimate reasons for going back and looking through a collection a second time if you need to, if you're looking for something different, or if you have a new piece of evidence that sort of changes the way that you see a certain collection or a certain type of record. But you want that to be intentional. You don't want to just go through the second collection 3 times before you realize that you've looked at it before. So document all of those things, however works best for you, whether that's a notebook or a Word document or a more complicated system. So, and then I guess the last thing I kind of want to say is archivists are your partner in research. I mean, we know the records, we know our indexes, we're happy to help, we want you to use our resources, but we also want you to know that we aren't necessarily experts in your topic. So you bring the expertise on your particular topic to us, and then we bring the knowledge of the records, and hopefully we can work together and really help you put together a really successful research trip. So yes, so thank you everyone for joining me here on our Archives Month kickoff. It's been fun. I hope you got some information from my research tips. Are there any questions here that I can answer? I'm not seeing anything come in through my comments, but I'm not sure if it could be that they're just not coming through, I suppose. But let me refresh to make sure I haven't missed something. No? Okay. Well, and that's all right. But if you do have any questions, again, I mean, feel free to send us a message here on Facebook. You can contact us through our reference desk. Like I said, the phone number is 605-773-3804, so you can call. You can email us, arcref. In fact, actually, here, I'll put all this information in here. Reference desk. Or arcref at state.sc.us. So feel free to contact us. You go to our website for information. I pointed you there multiple times, so I suppose I should at least share the link. Archives, not archives, archives. There you go. So you can go there for more information about Archives Month, about doing research. It has all sorts of resources there for you, and feel free to contact us. We'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. So thanks everybody. We'll see you next Thursday at 4 p.m. for our YouTube premiere. Don't forget to sign up, register your team for trivia night, and we'll see y'all later. Bye.